Just because he was still unmarried at 40, Nick became the target of his coworkers' bullying. He chose to walk away, but that only made them worse. The next day, they mocked him even more openly, then dragged him into the bathroom and blasted him with freezing water. Nick silently endured the humiliation. When his supervisor heard about it and came to talk to him, Nick hesitated. Maybe it was his deep-rooted kindness, or maybe he just wanted to protect what little dignity he had left. Either way, he brushed it off like nothing happened. In his 40s, Nick works at the airport handling luggage. Maybe because he's so introverted, he's still alone. Whenever he wants to escape that unshakable loneliness, he drives to a quiet riverside, turns on the radio, and plays loud, heavy metal. That's when he feels most relaxed, most like himself. One day, Nick finally makes up his mind and buys the remote control car he's always wanted. Out in the wind and snow, Nick lets his childlike, gentle side run free. Iceland's cold feels like it cuts straight to the bone, but for Nick, that loneliness and chill are exactly what he craves. His favorite hobby is recreating famous World War II battles on a model battlefield. That hobby also led him to his only real friend. In their free time, the two of them meet up and face off over the sandbox war map. Only in moments like these does Nick truly let his guard down. And when he sees that his friend has a happy marriage, a steady job, and two adorable twin sons, it's hard for Nick not to feel a little envious. It's Nick's birthday, and his mother makes him a cake, but his stepfather gives him a hat to cover up his baldness, and even signs him up for dance lessons. On the surface, it sounds like he's trying to help Nick socialize, but really he just finds him embarrassing. What Nick doesn't expect is that for this supposedly casual dance class, his mother has prepared him a formal suit. He's so used to being taken care of by her that he barely thinks about his appearance at all. He works up the nerve to walk into the class, only to realize he doesn't fit in there at all, and that suit makes him stand out even more. His social anxiety takes over, and he has no choice but to run. He returns to his car feeling crushed. Maybe only inside that small enclosed space does he feel any sense of safety. Then a snowstorm suddenly hits, and a woman walks straight up to his car. She asks for a ride through the storm, and he says yes. It's the first time a woman has ever sat in his passenger seat. To thank him for helping her, she says she'll look out for him at the dance hall next week. Nick neither agrees nor refuses, but as he watches her walk away, something inside him quietly starts to hope. One day after work, Nick gets home and finds the little girl next door locked outside because she forgot her key. Feeling sorry for her, he brings her inside and gives her milk and bread. To his surprise, they get along really well. Most of Nick's toys are the kind boys would like, but the girl doesn't mind at all. Instead, she becomes fascinated by the battlefield model in his house. She asks one curious question after another, and Nick patiently answers every one. But when her father comes to pick her up after work, he doesn't even say thank you. The next day, the girl shows up again on her own, already treating Nick like a friend. But a few innocent questions leave him embarrassed. She says her father thinks he's weird and told her to stay away from him. Luckily, she doesn't care. That night, Nick puts on his suit and heads to dance class. He does his best to move his large body and keep up with everyone else. Still, the instructor keeps calling him out and correcting him. Thankfully, Mary always turns back and gives him an encouraging smile. That warmth seems to fill Nick with strength, and suddenly the boring class starts to feel enjoyable. Afterward, Nick takes Mary to the seaside and asks if there's any song she wants to hear, then requests it just for her. Mary picks a soft love song, the complete opposite of the heavy metal Nick loves, but he decides he's willing to change for her. The radio host teases him for requesting such a sentimental song. Nick doesn't even realize he's being mocked and answers seriously, while Mary hears the whole exchange from the car and can't help laughing at how awkward and sincere he is. In that warm little moment, the song sounds more beautiful than ever. One day, a coworker who used to bully Nick comes to him and says his engine has been making a strange noise. Nick knows machines well, and instead of holding a grudge, he helps fix the car, maybe out of guilt. The man apologizes for how he treated him before, but Nick doesn't make a big deal out of it. After work, Nick goes to his friend's house and tells him about Mary. His friend says if Mary invited him over for tea, she must be interested in him. That's when it finally clicks for Nick. So the very next day, he books 2 tickets to Egypt and excitedly goes to the flower shop where Mary works. But the owner tells him Mary was fired. Unwilling to give up, Nick waits outside Mary's house in his car. Eventually, he sees her getting out of a garbage truck. It turns out she's working as a sorter at the waste center now. When he rings the bell, Mary opens the door and looks genuinely surprised to see him. Before Nick can even finish speaking, the depressed Mary shuts the door in his face. Rejected, Nick starts to leave, but then changes his mind and rings again. He tells her why he came. He wants to take her to Egypt, the trip she's always dreamed of. But Mary calmly tells him he's misunderstood their relationship. She says she just thinks he's a good man, nothing more. Her words shatter his heart. In the end, all of this was just wishful thinking on his part. Feeling miserable, Nick goes to a gathering with his coworkers. But in the middle of it, one of them brings in a prostitute for him. That crosses Nick's line completely. Disgusted, he tries to leave, but his coworkers stop him, and one man's friend even tries to shove him into a bedroom, forcing him into their cheap kind of fun. This time, Nick doesn't stay silent. He decides to defend his dignity and his boundaries. After all those crushing setbacks, he seems to fall into a kind of emotional collapse. Hoping to clear his head, he decides to go out for some air. The little girl next door says she wants to come too, and without thinking much about it, Nick agrees. They go to the seaside. The familiar mountains and ocean breeze briefly soothe him, but the girl quickly gets bored, so he takes her home, only to find the police already waiting there. Her father had panicked when she went missing and called them. The moment he sees his daughter returning with Nick, he starts screaming at him without asking any questions. The sudden malice catches Nick completely off guard. Even though it was all a misunderstanding, the police still take him in for questioning. Luckily, the older officer interviewing him can tell from their conversation that Nick is genuinely kind, so he's released soon after. But from that point on, the whole neighborhood starts looking at him differently, and parents no longer want their children near him. Nick desperately wants to be understood and accepted, so that very night he goes back to the dance studio to look for Mary, but she's not there. A bad feeling starts creeping in. In a panic, he smashes the small window in her front door and lets himself inside. In the kitchen, dirty dishes are piled up, and the TV looks like it's been on for ages. Nick searches the whole place but can't find her anywhere. Then he hears a noise from the bathroom. He follows it and finally finds Mary. Her depression has reduced her to a shell of herself. She screams at him to get out, but Nick chooses to stay. He quietly sits on the living room couch and keeps watch all night. The next morning, he carefully fries eggs for Mary for breakfast, then vacuums the house until it's spotless. Nick knows she won't come out of that darkness overnight, so he asks his boss for a long leave and devotes himself to staying by her side. In the days that follow, he places freshly made meals at her door every day, talks to her patiently, and does everything he can to bring her comfort and care. To keep Mary from getting fired at the dump, Nick takes over her sorting work himself. The new co-workers gossip about him at first, and he expects to be rejected, but instead he's surprised. They don't judge him by how he looks. They even warmly invite him to watch games and drink with them. It's the kind of easy camaraderie he's never experienced before. One day, he goes to the flower shop to buy flowers, but since he doesn't know which kind Mary likes, he buys a little of everything and makes a colorful bouquet. When he gets back home, he hears quiet sobbing from the bathroom. He slowly opens the door. This time, Mary doesn't resist. Instead, she throws herself into his arms. In that moment, all the emotions she'd been holding down finally break loose, and all her fear and hesitation give way to trust. With Nick's care and companionship, Mary slowly begins to come out of the darkness. She listens to music and paints over the old walls, as if she's getting ready for a new stage of life. Before long, Nick's time working at the dump comes to an end. As a farewell gift, his coworkers find a palm tree while sorting through the trash and give it to him. It's only a plastic palm tree, but to Nick, it carries something priceless, their genuine affection. After work one day, Nick has barely stepped through the door when Mary rushes straight into his arms. In that deep embrace, their feelings grow even stronger. Surrounded by that intense love, Mary asks Nick to move in with her. He's overwhelmed by the offer, because he knows it means she truly cares about him. But after thinking it through, Nick gently turns her down, because she still has her elderly mother to take care of. Mary storms off in anger. Nick is torn apart inside, but in the end, he runs after her. Faced with a choice between family duty and love, he chooses to follow love. He plans to give all his favorite toys to the little girl next door as a goodbye gift, but she isn't home, so her father accepts them for her. Before Nick leaves, the girl's father apologizes for what happened before. Soon, Nick asks his friend to help him move. As each piece of luggage is carried into Mary's room, he's filled with happiness and anticipation. But Mary grows more and more anxious. She paces back and forth, then finally stops him and says she doesn't think she's ready yet. Nick doesn't argue. He leaves with quiet acceptance and carries all his things back out again. After all the ups and downs, his life settles back into its old routine. When another blizzard hits, he sinks to his lowest point. Looking at the familiar scenery, he feels the urge to leave. He decides to go to Egypt alone and fulfill the promise he and Mary never got to share. Before he leaves, he buys the shop Mary once dreamed of owning and renovates it with a friend. When it's finished, he gently drops the key into Mary's mailbox, as if closing the book on that chapter of his life. Back at the airport, Nick stands on the jet bridge and takes the first step into a new chapter of his life. In that moment, He finally finds his direction. He looks back at the place where he used to work, and all those memories replay in his mind like a movie, yet his heart is strangely calm. The moment the plane lifts off the ground, Nick, a man who almost never smiles, shows a quiet, satisfied smile. He knows a new journey has begun. Even though Nick spent years being mocked by coworkers and judged by the world, he never lost his sincerity or his gentleness. Mary is trapped in depression. She longs for warmth and someone to lean on, but she's too afraid to truly give her heart, so she can only cling to comfort for a little while before pushing Nick away and retreating into herself. People are so used to judging others by appearances, but the most ordinary-looking people often have the purest, kindest souls. A brief encounter may not be enough to create a perfect love story, and another person's warmth can only ease loneliness for so long. Real salvation never comes from relying on someone else. It comes from learning to accept your imperfect self